This is Q shaft number 2. After one of my assistants viewed QS1, she suggested that I start with each succeeding Q shaft with answers to questions that may have arisen from a previous Q shaft. Question number 1. Why am I in disguise? The drifters informed me that sometime after my initial Q shaft appearance in 2009, fake Dr. Z episodes started to show up on the web. This means that in your future, you will have to discriminate between me and the other Dr. Z's. This discrimination will force you to focus your interpretive powers on what is discussed within the Q shafts to determine what is true. This will allow the diligent to be rewarded, the others will be led astray. And as I alluded to previously, if I was not in disguise, I may have been questioned about Dr. Z during the previous decade in my time. But I was never asked such a question, so the disguise has kept that question from being asked. Question number 2. What did I mean by the last remnants of the Internet? 3 years ago, on February 2nd, 20.20, not only the Internet, but almost all computers were attacked and destroyed. 5 minutes before the attack, a manifesto was sent out on the web that gave a brief history of the attacking group and the reasoning behind it. The attack was launched by a small anti-technology, pro-ecology group named Gaia's Seed. Around 20.03, a small group of computer scientists, part of Gaia's Seed, who were responsible for the design of multi-core computer chips, introduced covert logic gates in the part of the chips that help the multiple CPUs share memory. This logic was hidden from all debugging events. These chips and the same designers were used in the creation of later versions of the chips, each version adding more covert logic gates. Finally, on February 20th, 20.20, all multi-core CPUs, which were virtually all operational CPUs at the time, released their code. The code first destroyed all files that the CPUs could reach. Then the CPUs self-destructed. Every part of the world that used electricity was sent into a permanent blackout as all utility companies became non-operational. Planes fell from the sky, automobiles stopped running, hospitals became dark, communications between places that were more than shouting distance away ceased. Also, all historical Internet data, including the history of Dr. Z, were lost or unable to be read. From that time to the present, there has not been much word from any distant location. It is assumed that there was mass death and destruction everywhere. But that is hard to confirm due to the lack of communication. I was not affected within my organization by the CPU failure because my associates and myself had been using self-designed massive single-core CPUs that were necessary for the analysis of my quantum and relativistic work. This was because I needed faster memory exchange with the CPU, which was slowed down by multi-core chips. I used smaller versions of my single CPUs in my other devices that required a base chip. That is why I can function after the massive 20.20 failure. Question number 3. Why are the drifters so named? I was informed by the drifters that they took their name from a Clint Westwood movie entitled High Plains Drifter. I am not familiar with the movie nor with Mr. Westwood. Question number 4. What does CPA 017 mean? If anyone from 2009 asks that question, it indicates that he or she is not interested in their future. Question number 5. Can you explain again why you are sending these messages? I am sending these messages because they have already appeared in my past, so I must send them. And be assured that I do not care if anyone ridicules these messages or ridicules me. For those who do so, You have done that years ago in my past, and you most likely no longer exist. I do not take seriously the self-congratulatory comments of the departed. I am out of time for Q Shaft 2. I will address the issue of how I am sending these messages back in time in Q Shaft 3. End of Q Shaft 2.